Welcome back to Comic Book Wednesdays, a weekly series where we talk about comic books. We're your hosts. I'm Ian,
And I'm Shane.
and today is one of the weeks that Al warned us about where he won't be with us. So this week we are finishing Batman Scott Snyder. We had two more issues that brought together the Court of the Owls story. And as we're doing it, we're playing some Gotham Knights, which is also Court of the Owls related, so it's kind of fun.
Really good connection. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. So Shane, the end of this story, I want to get your thoughts. Did you like the way it ended?
I was kind of shook a little. Like that was surprising with the way they added that in there.
Did it
I expected that
feel?
to go a completely different direction.
How did it feel to you? Did it feel like natural or did it feel
Mm,
forced?
No, it felt forced, to be honest. Like I really expected that to be a very like Court of Owls focused story, and it set itself up for that. And it's one of those times where I felt like the added twist in a comic book is like you really didn't need to do that.
Right, and
It felt awkward, the
it
writing.
the main villain being like this alternate brother of Bruce. But was it really? Was it not? Is Batman in denial? I don't know.
That's also something interesting because like with Batman being who he is, I could very much see him being like, "No, my parents would never do that. You're talking out of your ass."
Right, because he's like mentally ill to a point, you know? It's like, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past Bruce to just kind of deny it and it be true, you know? But
Yeah,
I like the last two issues. I like the fight scenes. I like all that kind of stuff. Um, so I can't be too upset with it. I thought it was an overall good story. A little weak on the ending, but uh,
yeah. Like the fight scenes were good. Like there was definitely a lot of screenshots that I took of like some of the dialogue and some of the artwork that like again like the artwork and some of the things that have come up have been phenomenal. No complaints for me for there.
oh, absolutely. You know, you said you had specific screenshots, something that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. So I really liked how within that chapter 10, when he was talking about like he's like, well, the great detective one told me, and you sometimes it's okay to go on hunches because you're not actually going on a hunch. You're just remembering things that you should have known.
I like
You're
that.
finally making the connection. And it talked about how he has to go back to the house that he initially went to as a kid, which I felt like not only was a nice callback, but it also highlights the incredible skill that Batman has as a detective, where even this his younger version was able to figure it out, but he just didn't have enough evidence back then.
Right. It shows like not only did it speak to his talent, but it also spoke to his age. Like maybe within time he becomes this better detective, and he does find it eventually. You know.
Yeah.
Um, I liked the whole like not only like so Batman reacts the way the audience would react when he sees that the Court of the Owls were offed. He's just like, what? Like, damn it! Like, fuck! Like, I don't get my revenge. And then
Yeah, that's
also,
exactly how I took it too, but like that I was like, oh, what's the next what's the big thing? But please continue. That just surprised me.
right, and then like, to kind of like play off of that. So, as audience, we anticipate that this is wrong. There's something off, and Batman has the same thoughts, which I like too. Kind of like mirrors us a bit.
Hmm.
Cleverly done. Um, and then from there, it kind of goes off the wall where he's like, I remember this one small detail, you know, like Lincoln March is a liar. Like, he goes to try to find his body, but of course he's a talent, and he's not there. And he claims to be Thomas Wayne Jr. an abandoned baby. I don't know. It's you can kind of see why Batman doesn't believe it.
Yeah, like out of all the things that Thomas Wayne did, like with him being a doctor and all this other stuff, like he would just leave the baby, but also like even Batman was like this, what you're doing doesn't make any sense. You've been brainwashed. And he's like, "Oh, come on, brother. Like fight me." And Batman's like, "Well, okay,
Yeah,
if you want to."
yeah. And he kind of like flies him around on his cord and shit, and it's cool. I mean, it's definitely a really cool scene. You know, Batman fighting, I guess Owlman, but it's not really Owlman. You know?
The evil Hootie.
Yeah, and like Owlman's supposed to be like an alternate Earth villain. Um, that's part of the crime syndicate. You know, um, so I guess this is their way of doing Owlman in some weird off way.
Okay.
The
I mean, I
evil
did take a
hoodie.
couple of nice like notes from there where he was like, fight me, owl to bat, and like that scene where he's charging at Batman and the camera's basically like panned behind him and like two of them in suits going up against each other. That was really cool art.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I think that was like the splash page for the end of issue 10.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a cool one. Um, and may I add, like those splash pages are awesome, but you kind of lose their like oomph because you're not reading them week or month to month. Could you imagine reading that and it's just like that's the end of it? You're like, I have to wait another month to read this book. Jeez.
To be honest, my impatientness is one of the reasons that I buy graphic novels. Is because whenever I get to one of those ending chapters and it's like, do I have to wait? Nah, I'm just gonna turn the page because I would not have had to wait for this.
I mean, sometimes the if you buy them in like the small volumes, like you do still have to wait because they only go so far. But I get what you're saying. Just playing a little devil's advocate.
No, all good.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend Snyder's Batman to everybody, and I think this is the start of his like monumental run. So it's always good to start here. But it
Mhm.
does get better than this. Like there are a lot of stories he does. He has like a 3 arc story that is just Batman's New 52 origin called Zero Year, which is fantastic.
Mm.
The next arc after this one is a Joker story. If you remember from a couple years ago, all the art of basically Joker like had bungee cables attached to his face, holding his face on his head. I don't know if you remember seeing any of those images, but that's what that's from.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
um, yeah. It's called the Death of the Family instead of Death in the Family. So, Death in the Family is a story where Jason Todd is killed by the Joker.
Hmm.
Um, Death of the Family is just, I guess, Snyder's take on the Joker trying to remove all of Batman's weights. Um, Hence, his family thinks he's being held down by them. So,
That's good to know. Thank you. Like
yeah,
some of those ones I've heard like the snippets of and heard like the synopses and things like that, but never knew what they were about.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I read those as they came out. But I guess more about Court of the Owls. Oh, it was a. It's probably one of my favorite Batman stories. But I feel like at this point I'm running out of things to say. I don't know.
Well, I
What?
could take over for a little bit. With the Court of the Owls one, now I since we didn't read some of the like extra bits, right? Batman in the end of this says that, oh, I'm gonna go after the Court of Owls. I'm gonna make sure that they, that they know I'm still here. Um,
Hmm.
you had mentioned last time that there was the Court of the Owls and the Night of the Owls,
Hmm.
and then the Night of the Owls was basically what the Bat family and what everybody was doing while he was kidnapped. Is that right?
No, so you know how they send the Talons out into the city, and there's a hit
Yes.
on all the major figures in Gotham.
Hmm.
It's about that. So it's about the family stopping
Gotcha.
those hits.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Does it relay into any of the like twisty stuff that we experienced with this issue?
I think most of the Night of the Owls stops before Batman goes after Lincoln Marsh. Like before he tries to. So it's just at one point in issue 10, you see like all those assassination attempts are pretty much thwarted. Like there's like a line of dialogue that Batman has internally to himself. So
Hmm.
like the Night of the Owl books all comprise of those things. Is the stopping of those assassination attempts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really did like it, and I'm glad that we read it. It has been on my list for a while to read this story. And my only criticism, because like the entire book has been great, I really would have liked to have seen Batman either as Batman or as Bruce Wayne take on the Court of Owls itself. Because to have like this pseudo brother, because that's what I'm going to call him, the pseudo brother, because
Hmm.
I mean, he's basically alive. We know that.
Hmm.
But to have him be the one that takes out the majority of the court just feels a little like Batman was robbed of that. And you could argue that that was the point of the brother being like, "Hey, I'm going to take away everything from you, including your cases, because like I'm going to be better than you." So you could make that argument as it's part of the story of like this anti-Batman figure trying to be better at Bruce than everything. Um, but I would have liked to have seen Batman take on the court.
So like I like that point of view as far as like what what Thomas Wayne Jr.'s role or Lincoln Marsh, whatever when you call him, his role to Batman was kind of like taking over, being the better Batman, defeating the court. But in the same sense, like I really wanted to see Batman fight it. Like how cool would it have been to see like just the generic guy, the leader in like the suit and the mask, just fight Batman. It turns out he's stronger than all the Talons. Like I think that would have been one of a cooler way to do it. Like yeah, there's a little bit
Yeah,
of a twist there, but like Batman does feel robbed.
yeah, and like, that's my only criticism with it is like it did make a really interesting, nice like oh that's kind of a twisty ending like, and I could see maybe why they might have wanted to do that. I just personally didn't agree with it because like you could have had Batman like you said fight the actual Court of Owls, or you could have had Bruce Wayne come out and say like oh well here I'm gonna keep doing this like philanthropy stuff, but then expose these people because Bruce Wayne has connections, and we know that.
Yeah, that would have been a really interesting way for like Batman's not the way to go here. It's Bruce Wayne that needs to fight this. Um, if the story was told a different way, maybe we see Bruce Wayne join the court as his
Hmm.
and like take them down from the inside. That would have been kind of
Oh,
cool.
that would have been interesting. Like, had they not known that he was Batman, had they not figured it out?
Right. Or like he wasn't a target, because like from the beginning they wanted to kill him. But if he never was a target, he was just a rich person, maybe they try to bring him in, you know?
Hmm. I will say there is a couple of panels I did really enjoy towards the end of it where they're having like this. It's him and Dick having this like wrap up session basically, and Dick was like, I'm gonna have to punch you, and you look well enough that I gotta get you back for what you did to me. And then Bruce just kind of went along with it, was just like, you know what, yeah, that's fine. But then he did that thing where he's just like, you make me a better person, and I'm glad I have you in my life. And Dick's like, well, now I don't want to punch you.
I'll have to punch you later. I'll catch you by surprise. And like Bruce replies,
Yeah.
"Oh, you can try." Like,
That was good. I enjoyed that bit.
I always like the witty moments between Bruce and Dick. It kind of shows their relationship really well, how much they've come together.
Yeah, no, that was one of my my favorite moments from the end, was when they were having that moment. And then like the ending artwork. Let me see. I do have a screenshot of this, and I'll use this for the tag, where you can see Gotham and the bat signal in Batman's eye. That was beautifully done.
Oh yeah, absolutely done, and a perfect way to end it, in my opinion.
I agree. As
Absolutely.
I'm riding my bike as Red Hood onto oncoming traffic.
I'm trying to follow you. I'm riding my bike also. Um, there's the oncoming traffic.
Yep. I'll wait for you.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that wraps it up pretty decently.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh, there is also an annual book that came out um, during this time where Batman fights Mr. Freeze during the Night of the Owls. Um, it was a little side story that they released as like the annual issue. But that was kind of cool.
Ooh. Okay. I
Yeah,
wonder if we
that
have
would
access to
also.
that. I'd be curious to read it.
I don't. If it's not in your book, then you might not. Um, it's probably included in the Night of the Owls. I would be surprised if it wasn't.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah,
Well, would you like me to talk about what we're reading next week?
absolutely.
So next week, I'm gonna kind of lead us through Soul of the Dragon, Boom Studios. We're getting into the Power Rangers graphic novels, which I have really come to love. And just as a brief synopsis, just to get people interested, Soul of the Dragon is about the Power Ranger Tommy Oliver in his elder years, as he has a family. So it kind of continues off of like some things that we've seen in the main show, if you watched it when you were a kid, but it gives you a nice enough catch up to where you don't have to read buckets and buckets of lore to understand what's going on. It makes enough references and explains them so you can just pick it up and read it.
That's really cool. And my understanding is there's no chapters in this. It's just one solid graphic novel. Um, so how are we gonna break that down?
Yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to read up to page 30 for the first week. We'll do another 30 pages for the second week. And for that third week, since the book kind of ends at around that 91, 92-ish pages, we'll just finish it for that last one.
Okay, that works.
And then by then, Al, if you're listening and you would like to join us, that's what we're reading. I own that book, so you have access to it. And if not, we'll catch him when we're all done.
Yeah, excellent. And then by the time he's back, we'll do Star Wars.
Yes.
If that's what he still wants to do, because it will be
Yeah,
out.
because we did talk about Star Wars and Gambit, so I'm excited to see what he picks.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait. But yeah, Thanks for listening to Comic Book Wednesdays, everybody. Again, we're your hosts. I'm Ian.
And I'm Shane.
Have a good night.
Have a great night.